One day I will learn how to stop talking about a book rather than just going, yep. But until then. Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the second time I have recorded my July wrap up because the first time I recorded it, all you could hear was outside because I forgot that I had left my window open, and it meant that I was sat here chatting about books and then you couldn't hear any of it. And I did think, well, maybe I could just go over and do like a voiceover or maybe like narrow it down, but honestly it would be less effort to just go through it again. So I have had to have a reshuffle of the books that were in here because obviously I reviewed quite a few of them, so if they come across as brash or abrupt, it's because I've already told you, except you don't know that I've already told you. But we're still going to do it, we're still going to do the thing. So I don't know if I'm going to end up reviewing the same books or different books because every month I pick the books that I review out of this little teapot. I have 20 minutes to talk about as many books as I can because obviously the target is to read 25 books a month. I can tell you for nothing that I did not read 25 books in July or June, so I don't have as many books to review as I would normally have, but I will still have plenty to review, and I'm sure I will have plenty to fill up 20 minutes. We are pressing go, my timer has started, and let's see which book I'm reviewing first in my July wrap up, and it is going to be Teen Titans Raven by Cami Garcia and Gabrielle Piccolo. I actually follow Gabrielle Piccolo on Instagram, that's how I found out about this graphic novel. It is part of a duology at the moment, I think it's turning into a series. You have Teen Titans Raven and Teen Titans Beast Boy. I keep meaning to get to Beast Boy because I really enjoyed Ravens. This has excellent representation. It looks at trauma and it looks at the hidden depths of Raven. I really liked the art style of this. I've been obviously reading quite a few graphic novels and this is definitely up there in the ones that I would recommend. It's a hardback as well, which is nice because I have a habit of bending my graphic novels way more than I do paperbacks, probably just because of the thin paper of them, but I like that this is sturdy as well. And it's a YA graphic novel, so there's nothing too aggressive in it. But essentially Raven has been adopted by her aunt, who is a witch and is using magic, and her best friend and her are trying to discover some stuff about her history, which is really interesting. And all the while there is this secret organisation that are trying to kind of not take over her, but try and like harness the demon that's within her, and she learns more about that, and she has amnesia, so she's kind of going through all that kind of stuff, which is all very traumatic. Oh, and there's a boy, so it's all really interesting. I really liked it. The whole time I thought the boy was Beast Boy, but spoiler alert, he's not. Like, it's a setup for that, which is kind of cool. Let's try harder wrapping up the second one. The next one is going to be The Collectors by Philip Pullman. Now this is an Audible only audiobook, obviously, which was written by Philip Pullman. It's half an hour long, it's read by Bill Nye, it has this really slow burn vibe to it. I did not enjoy it, which is weird. I think I gave it like a 2 to 3 stars. A lot happens like off stage, and it very much felt like a standalone play where you're listening to two people have a conversation, and there's a lot more happening off stage than there is on stage as they're having this conversation. And it's not that I don't like that. I think on its own it's quite an interesting piece. I think because it's part of a series that I love, and it just felt really disconnected and disjointed from that, because there are allusions. Oh, right, Spice go past. There are allusions to the book that I love and the characters that are infamous from it without it actually feeling tied to it. So as a writing experiment, it's interesting. Did I enjoy it as part of that series? Not really. I gave it 3 stars, and I don't really have much else to say about it other than that. Okay, next. If I can keep up this pace, I might get all of them done, because like I said, I didn't read that many, and obviously last month I did 2, so... Ooh, the Cadfile series. So I actually, again, I did these as an audiobook. That I read 3 of these, but The Virgin and the Ice is the only one that I own as a paperback as well, which kind of spurred the idea to do it anyway. The Cadfile series is a cozy mystery set in the medieval era. So they don't have science, they don't have forensics, they don't have anything like that. What they have is Cadfile, who is a monk who has been a soldier, who seems to know everyone and knows everyone's business, and is able to put 2 and 2 together and kind of sleuth his way through some really interesting mysteries. They're all slightly different in the same way that a mystery series usually is, but Audible were doing a combo of 3 of the stories, one of which was The Virgin and the Ice, and then there were a couple of others which titles have escape me, so I'm just going to look those up because I have my Audible right here. So it also includes Monkshood, where Monkshood, which is one about a poisoned meal, Virgin in the Ice, which is where a young boy and his sister go missing, and Dead Man's Ransom, which was definitely the most adventurous out of all of them. There was sieges and like storming a fort and all other kinds of things. But if you like historical fiction, and you like a gentle mystery, this is a nice combo of the two. Obviously they came out years ago, there was a TV series that came out years ago. I find it really interesting, and it is one of the reasons I tried to write, I'm still in the process of writing a murder mystery series set in the Tudor era. I just think it's really fascinating when you have all these things that we expect from a murder mystery, like the forensics, like the motives, things like that, and then they are taken into this time where you can't do science because science, enlightenment hasn't happened yet. There's still alchemy, there's still chemistry, there's still botany, but it's not science in the way that we understand it now, so it's kind of like the early burgeonings of that. I find that really interesting, and it was just a nice little palate cleanser of murder, because actually looking at my pile, there's quite a few here with murder, but this was one of them, and I really enjoyed it. So I rated them on average 3 to 4 stars, and if you just need a cute little Cadfile palette cleanser, I would recommend it. Okay, next. Oh, I've got 2, so let's do this one first. Which is Steeped in Gold by, I want to say, Sianen Smart. I'm second guessing because sometimes a C is a ch sound, so I'm going to say Sianen Smart and just run with that. This is a Caribbean fantasy, high fantasy, about 2 witches who are kind of from either side of a war slash feud, who both have the ambition to kill the same queen. And then it kind of follows their stories. There's betrayal, there's adventure, there is so much in this book. And yeah, what's really interesting is the characters are all kind of like moving through the narrative quite quickly. It's really hard to like tack yourself onto a character specifically. So if you like high fantasy because you like mythology, or because you like the exploration of different, like, not cultures, but like the exploration of different kingdoms and worlds and things like that for the escapism, then I would recommend it. But if you're looking for a character to tack onto, I found that kind of difficult. Aria was definitely my favourite of the 2 characters. Jasmine could be a bit flat sometimes for me, but I did still give it 3 stars. I think maybe even 4 stars. Some of the like plot twists at the end, really interesting. It had pirates, which is always a bonus. It was an intriguing one. It just wasn't my favourite, and I think I went in really hyped for this because I know that so many people have really enjoyed it, so that was a bit of an if for me. But generally I really liked it, and I thought as Magical Dynasty books go, I would rate this alongside A Songs of Wraith and Ruin. I just think those 2 are the 2 that I'll probably recommend going forwards, because it was fun. It was a fun read. And then the other one that I picked out by accident was A Burning, which could not be more different from Which is Steeped in Gold. This is a book about 3 characters who are just awful people, but all awful for different reasons. You have this naive young girl who basically gets scapegoated for a terrorist attack in India, and she's arrested almost immediately, even though the only reason she was anywhere near it is because she was delivering a book. But the government have decided that they want to sweep this under the rug quite quickly, and they basically say that she's the one who did it. And the terrorist organisation agree with them for some reason. Like, at no point do they come out and say no, she didn't do it. They just run with it, which is just weird to me in the first place. But then you have her ex-PE teacher who basically works his way through the government from being a PE teacher to a politician by giving false testimony and saying that people committed crimes when they didn't. It's just like, that in itself is just awful. And then there's another character called Lovely who does testify that she couldn't have done this terrorist attack, right up until it affects their acting career, and then like turn their testimony around. And I think I rated this highly. It's a very well written book, but so often I was just so frustrated because there's all this like political corruption, and it was just a character study in how far and how many people will you stand on to get ahead. And I just think it was just really fucking dark without it being like something that was like beating you over the head. Like it was dark. It was a dark narrative rather than written darkly, if that makes any sense. Like the concept of people just standing on each other like this, it makes someone like me who wants to be an optimist and wants to think the best of people just go, oh no, you're right, people are awful. It was a book full of awful people. It's very, very literary, it's very internalized, they've all got their own struggles. It has great LGBTQ rep. Lovely is a great character and is really three-dimensional. They're all really three-dimensional, but they're all also fucking awful. So if you want a book that just makes you despair of the human condition, can recommend. But if like me, where you're like looking for escapism and optimism, then maybe skip this one. Okay, next. Violent Love by Frank Rabir. I think that's how you say his name. So Violent Love is a graphic novel. When I attempted to vlog 30 graphic novels in the equivalent of like 30 hours, this was one of the first ones that I read, and I was really, really hyped for it. I hadn't seen anyone else speaking about it, and I was just genuinely so impressed with this. It's about a young woman who witnesses something brutal happen to her father, and then kind of goes on this revenge arc of destroying the people that destroyed her father. And she is not a nice person, she is surrounded by not nice people, and then on the other side of it is this man who is basically just an enforcer who then becomes her protector. But the story starts with the detective who is chasing these two people looking after a young girl and telling her the story of these two people. And I called the plot twist that, oh wow, who'd have thunk it, this is the daughter of the woman. So it's a really interesting art style. Their heads are all massive for some reason. It's very monochrome with just really dark splashes of red. It really has The Last Detective season 1 vibes to it, which I really like. It is brutal, there is a lot of death, there is a lot of really gory scenes. Massive, massive trigger warnings for that. Oh, speaking of trigger warnings, forgot to say, trigger warnings for homophobia, transphobia, classism, terrorism, misogyny, violence, there's rioting, there's all kinds of like that. Anyway, back to this one. But it's really, really interesting because they're not love struck. They don't necessarily come into this story and it's not a Romeo and Juliet, they see each other across the room and fall in love kind of thing. It's far more, they see something in each other they recognise in themselves, which I always think as a plot trope is actually, it has to be cleverly crafted, it has to be done right. So I really, really enjoyed this, and I will definitely be checking out volume 2 and would definitely recommend this to anyone who's interested in graphic novels, because like I said, I haven't seen anything else like this. I've not seen anyone else speak about this, so would highly rate. Highly, highly rate. Okay, we've got 5 minutes, which is probably enough time for one, maybe 2 more. We shall see. So Pandora's Jar by Natalie Haynes. This was one of the books that I pulled out of my Top Trumps TBR. This is a non-fiction about all of the women in Greek mythology, well not all of the women, but some women from Greek mythology, as Natalie Haynes interprets those plays and the poems. I went into this knowing that it was going to be non-fiction, but not really understanding how the portrayal was going to be interpreted, I guess. But I assumed that it would kind of be a critical analysis of the plays and how those women are portrayed, and it is that, but it's far more colloquial than that. If you're not a massive fan of non-fiction, this feels more like a conversation, which I really liked. I really like Natalie Haynes' writing style. I know that some people have said that it's derivative and that it doesn't really, it kind of focuses on the elements of like the feminist perspective that Natalie Haynes wants to focus on, which I don't think is a bad thing, because I think at the end of the day, when you've got so many narratives that can be interpreted in so many ways, it's nice to have something that feels personal. I think as a reader I found it very easy to tap into Haynes' perspective. I liked the way that she has Greek writers and Greek philosophers that she prefers. I think that's normal, and I think the fact that she owned that in her writing was fantastic, because I think sometimes you can read something and it can be too critical and it can be too unbiased. In an attempt to not be biased, it ends up being cold and abrasive, and this writing is not that at all. There are moments when she makes references to pop culture or to personal experience. That's really fascinating, and I would definitely put it in the category of non-fiction that I enjoyed, like Sandy Toksvig's Almanac and What Would Buddha Could Do. I'm starting to get a collection of non-fictions that are made up of smaller chapters about interesting women, and I would count this amongst it. I really, really like this. I think I gave it 5 stars in the end, and I'm absolutely hyped for other people to read this. As far as like a mythology introduction goes, if you've not read a lot, then I would again recommend it, because it does look at those myths, but it looks at it through the feminist lens. It looks at how those women are both good and evil, like how human they are. It's all great stuff. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, time for one more, I think. Let's go with this one. Oh, the Tea Dragon Society. This was super cute. Loads of people have talked about the Tea Dragon Society, and I got gifted some Waterstones vouchers, and I thought there's nothing really that I desperately want, so I picked up a few of BookTube's hyped books, and this is a very, very short read. It's a very, very cute read. I really liked it. I liked the disability rep, I liked the BIPOC rep, and the LGBTQ rep. It has so much in it without it being really overdone. It's very, very subtle. It looks at friendship and support and trauma, and it's just really, really cute and really, really wholesome. It's a very easy read, and I would absolutely recommend it to everyone of all ages, because it is super cute. And I can see why. Like, every now and then there'll be a book that like BookTube or BookTok hypes, and I just don't get it. Like, I just don't see why everyone loves this book. The Maidens, for example, I just don't understand how people can enjoy that writer's writing as much as they do. Now, that's just a personal taste, but every now and then there is a little gem like this which I can just enjoy in an afternoon, and I can absolutely see why everyone really enjoys it. So thank you to everyone for banging on about this one. I'm joining the hype train. I am on the wagon. Let's go, as it were. And somehow I've still got time, so let's not waste it. The Meaning of Life. Okay, so this was not on any TBRs. This was a gift from my brother. He spotted this and thought I would like it. As you can see, I have tabbed it, and the reason I have tabbed it is because basically this is a list of places that are real places that Douglas Adams and John Lloyd decided were words that were wasted. There are words that don't have meaning that deserve meanings, and meanings that exist that don't have a word attached to them, so they've just given those meanings place names and then kind of mix them up. So to just kind of give you an example, I'm just going to peel open to one of my tabs. I have no idea which one it's going to be. So Dungeness, which is weirdly a very close place to where I live, it's where like the power station is. It's on the coast. The meaning of it, according to Douglas Adams, is the uneasy feeling that the plastic handles of an overloaded supermarket carrier bag you are carrying are steadily getting longer. And it's just a list of those. It's almost like a little dictionary of meanings attached to place names that have no meaning whatsoever. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a really short read. It was one of those. It's the kind of book that you would have next to your like bathroom. It would be a bathroom book where people are sat on the toilet for 5 minutes and they have forgot their phone, or they didn't want to risk dropping their phone down the toilet, so they just have this to hand so they can flick through. And you know, I just think it's just a really cute little gifty read, and it was just really, really fun, like especially when you spot a place that you know or a place you want to visit, or it's just like a place that you've heard of, like or a meaning that gets you. Like I'll see if I can find another one. That is time, but I'm just so excited by this one. Okay, so Scamblesby is a small dog which resembles a throw rug and appears to be dead. And that just immediately makes me think of all those videos where people call their dog what you think is a cushion then lifts its head up. Like, it was just really cute. I thought that name was really funny. So yes, we'd also recommend that one. They're just really fun. They're just really funny, silly little books. So yeah, let's have a look then, shall we? Not too bad as wrap-ups go, and obviously I have the collectors and the other audiobooks that I mentioned, but I still have quite a few books in the basket, so I'm not too worried. I was worried that I would run out of books before I ran out of time this month, because like I said, didn't crack on to as many as I'd have liked. If you have read any of these books, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know. Sometimes people think of a question at the end, and I always think, oh, I'll think of a question. It'll be related to the books and it'll be related to my content, and I can never think of something. So if you've got to this point and you're like, Hannah, what's the question going to be? Just put a random emoji in the comments so I know you were here and I know that you appreciated that I tried, kind of. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Have a nice day.